Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Women's Coffee Club. We created this club to provide a safe space for women to share and inspire each other. This morning, so grateful for Nicole to be presenting how to read your blood work easily. And with that, Nicole, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your background and then go ahead with your presentation. And, please leave about 15, 20 minutes for a Q&A, maybe 15 at least, so that we have enough. Normally, I'd like to go around and to have each person um, provide a feedback you know, or Q&A basically. Go ahead. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for having me. I have been wanting to come on these calls myself, so this is inspiring me because I really can get up and be dressed and in front of a camera by 7 a.m. I just shocked myself. So there's no reason I can't do this every week. So I am going to do my best. So thank you for having me. I am actually I wear a lot of hats. So I've been a nutritionist for over 15 years. I am a functional medicine practitioner and I am a blood work specialist. So combine that all together, and the name of my company is Help You Get Healthy. So I love the blood work aspect of things. When I learned functional blood work, it changed not only my world, but so many people that we are able to help on a deeper level. Because oftentimes, as Rena was saying, when we were just talking a couple minutes ago, people will get their blood work and they'll go, oh, everything's in the normal, or one's out of range or whatever, and they set it down and they trust their doctors. And I think we've always grown up to trust our doctors exactly what they tell us. They were always that respectable authority. And here's the thing, I now train doctors on how to read blood work, which is really, really a fun thing. So, I participate in a 90-day course of literally, we teach practitioners all over the world how to read blood work. So I would have never thought 15, 17 years ago that's what I would be doing, but I absolutely love it. And I know what an impact it makes for the client or the patient. So ladies, we need to be our best advocate for ourselves at the doctor's office. Have any of you ever gone to the doctor and they run blood work and they say everything's normal, and you go, hey, wait, but I don't feel good. It's such a common thing, right? I just don't feel good. And if you guys want to put anything in the chat while I'm presenting, that's fine too. So I'm going to clarify, and I'm going to give you a lot of things to look at that you can be your own advocate. So I'm going to put on a PowerPoint and walk you through. Oh, am I sharing? No, I'm not sharing. I need to share. Share my screen. Let me get the slideshow going. Okay. So let me teach you how to read your own blood work. So I'm going to give you 5 golden gems, what I call them, 5 markers that are going to help you go from unhealthy to healthy. So I always tell people, stop chasing their symptoms. There is so many gold nuggets that are in their CBC. Like I said, it's worth its weight in gold. So ready to take some notes. If you're not, listen to the replay because you're going to want to know what's going on in here. So what does it take to go from being unhealthy to healthy and always feeling your optimum best? I always tell people it takes a little bit of time, but I can certainly help you get there. But I really want to tell you about these 5 markers. Like, I get so excited. I know Lachelle is on here and she's heard this a couple of times. I haven't done this workshop in quite some time, and it always gets me giddy. So if you see that I'm a little giddy, it just makes me excited that I get to share this with you. I've learned from a couple different mentors, Dr. Dadis Karizian and Dr. Kylie Burton, and I actually now work with Dr. Kylie's team, which is really exciting. Dr. Kylie actually has actually been on quite a few TV shows lately. She has narrowed this program down to the T, and she really believes it's the key to serving most people's health concerns once we know how to interpret the results of your thing. So your blood work. So the white blood count, everybody gets a white blood count. What you want, and when you go to the doctor, ladies, you need to know this, is when they order blood work, make sure when they order a white blood count that they do it with a differential. A lot of doctors only order a white blood count. You want to make sure it says with differential. Super, super important. And oftentimes they leave that out. And there's a couple insurance companies that will not pay for it. And I will honestly tell you, it's a $2.25 difference. All right. So on your white blood count, if you were to pull up any labs, if you have them in a portal or anything, you'll see what I'm talking about. If our scale is a little bit different than a regular normal scale. So think of a normal blood work scale being the size of the United States. And the numbers I'm going to give you are like the size of Oklahoma. But these numbers have proven over thousands and thousands, tens of thousands patients at this point, that those numbers in that smaller range really do tell a story. Okay. So on your white blood count, if your white blood count is less than 5 or greater than 8, we know that you are fighting a low-grade infection. Okay. It's number one. And what do these infections look like? So you might have some of these or none of these, but I'm going to tell you what they are. Hashimoto's, Parkinson's, autoimmune symptoms, fibromyalgia, type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, gout, IBS, constipation, diarrhea, acid reflux, heartburn, excessive gas, bloating after meals, indigestion, or SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Okay. Victoria asked, what does the differential request? What does that mean? So what a differential request means is that it's going to give you the breakdown. Usually they give you a breakdown of, they just give you your white blood count and they give you your red blood count. And the red blood count is all broken down. The differential breaks down your white blood count. Okay. Great question. Thank you. It is 7 a.m. All right. So if you have any of these things, I can guarantee you, you probably have an underlying infection that has never been treated. All right. So I'm going to talk about the 5 markers that are shown in the white blood count. Neutrophils are the first one. What is a neutrophil? A neutrophil is what our body uses to fight off bacteria. Our body is meant to fight off infections, and that's the neutrophil's job. If neutrophils, if they're over 60, they should be less than 60. If they are higher than 60, if that means they are 60.1, 60.2, 65, 85, I saw somebody the other day, 87. They definitely have a low-grade bacterial or a fungal infection. Okay, so neutrophils fight off your bacteria. So what are the bacterial infections? IBS, diarrhea, constipation, if you have food sensitivities or any kind of digestive issues. Those are all bacteria. And how do most people feel if they have a bacterial infection? They feel pain. All of those things cause pain. Okay. Don't want to get up in pain. Have you learned something already? Good. Such a strange topic, blood work. Nobody expects to go on a women's coffee chat and learn about blood work. All right. So here's how that pain comes across. It can come across as chronic pain, joint pain, rheumatoid arthritis, and even fibromyalgia. Here's the crazy thing, ladies. We can clear up a bacteria infection in 90 days or less. I've done it time and time and time and time again. So people who have been living with joint pain for years, within 90 days, we can have that joint pain actually managed. Okay, lymphocytes. That's the next marker. Lymphocytes fight off viruses, just like the virus that was running around our country and everywhere else around the world in the last few years. It's virus, right? Lots of viruses. Flu is a virus. So lymphocytes should be less than 30%. If they are higher than 30%, you have a low-grade viral infection. So lymphocytes' job is to fight off the viruses. So how does that look? Oh, that should say viral infection. See, first thing in the morning. I was going to change it and I forgot. How do you feel when you have a virus? You feel exhausted. The people who just have chronic fatigue, who just have no energy. That's what a virus does to you. It zaps your energy. It's an energy zapper. So these are the markers that we want to see. Neutrophils around 60, lymphocytes around 30. Is this all making sense so far? Okay. When we start seeing markers get closer and closer together, 42, 45, 47, 40, whatever, then we know that you have an autoimmune flare-up happening. And a lot of people don't know they have autoimmune triggers. And this is one of our first signs going, oh, you have some autoimmune issues going on. Let's get those stopped before they get worse. So this is an indication when people are going, is something wrong with my thyroid? Why am I so tired? I just don't feel good. You know, there's a lot of things that can happen with the autoimmune world. People who have diabetes will have like days where they just don't feel good. I can guarantee if you took their blood on that day, their markers would be close together. Okay. So all falls into that autoimmune range. All right, the third marker is monocytes. Now, monocytes are a virus as well. Monocytes are just a different type of virus. So if any of you have ever heard of mononucleosis, also referred to as the kissing disease, that is a virus. So you can also get it from drinking out of somebody's can or soda or water bottle or whatever. You can, it's passed on through the mouth. But, as a kid, I actually, in 8th grade, I ended up with mono. And my mom was like, she was so mad at me. She was at the doctor's office and she was yelling at me. She was thinking I was making out with boys when I was in 8th grade. I was not making out with boys in 8th grade. Trust me, ladies. And the doctor was like, have you ever drank out of anybody's, like, we drank soda back in the day, soda or this or that or whatever. And I was like, of course, at lunch we would share things, and he's like, that's probably how she got it. But my mom was like, just assumed that I was like making out with the boys. Mo says, I was in 11th grade and I was making out with the boys. Good for you. I laughed because I had the biggest crush on my math teacher in 8th grade. My math teacher made me love math because I thought he was the hottest thing that I had ever seen in my life. So I always wanted to be in math class. And then years later, I realized that he was gay. I just thought that was great. So monocytes are mono or Epstein-Barr. Now, I was diagnosed with Epstein-Barr as well. And here's what happens with women. Oftentimes, and I hate to say this, it's very, very prominent with women. I've been doing this, like I said, for, working in the wellness field for 17 years now. And here's what happens. I went to the doctor. I was in my 20s and I was like, I just don't feel good. It's just a checkup. And he's like, oh, well, you're a mom. What kind of answer is that? You're a mom. You're supposed to be tired. No, you're not supposed to be tired. Sure, when they're babies, right? But you're not supposed to be tired every day. And so I was just exhausted. So I went back a couple weeks later. I mean, I was exhausted. Like I felt like I was peeling myself off of the floor. So I go back and he does a CBC with differential. And he says, "Oh, well, you have Epstein-Barr." He never gave me any answers. What is Epstein-Barr? Never didn't tell me it was actually a virus. None of that. He actually prescribed medication. Well, most medications don't fight viruses. And then he said to me, "You know, if this continues, I can give you some Zoloft." That was the drug back in the day, was Zoloft. It was new. "Yeah, I can give you some Zoloft. That will help." So he attributed my having Epstein-Barr to I needed an antidepressant. And it happens a lot. So ladies, don't accept that. Don't ever accept anything like that. Okay. You have to be your own best advocate. So your monocytes should be less than 7%. If they're higher than 7%, again, we know you have that low-grade viral infection. If we see it that it's hitting 12, 13, 14%, we know that more than likely you have Epstein-Barr. And there are things now that we can do for Epstein-Barr. But Epstein-Barr will make you, like I said, like peel yourself off the floor. I actually just worked with a teenage boy and his mom was so angry with him. He was like a 4.0 student and they're trying to get him into some Ivy League colleges. And he was falling asleep every day at his desk. And his mom was just furious, thinking that this kid was like, not telling her the truth about staying up at night and doing, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And so she finally had his blood work done, and she was referred to me. And I looked and I said, "Holy moly, he has Epstein-Barr." And so it's interesting. We can catch viruses from anywhere.
How do
So
you
as soon as
spell that?
EP, let me, EPSTEIN, and it's BARR. And so that's why he was falling asleep. It wasn't because he was a bad kid or he was staying up at night or he was doing anything else. He literally had a virus that was making him fall asleep. So viruses can just take a lot out of you. All right. See, I'm ahead of myself. We'll just skip that slide. All right. The next one is eosinophils. Your eosinophils should be less than 3%. So if they're over 3%, we know you have one of two things. You either have some major food sensitivities or you have parasites. If they're over 6%, I know that you have parasites. We all have parasites in our body. We just don't want the bad parasites in our body. So eosinophils will tell us if you have extreme food sensitivities. And when I say extreme, not just, "Oh, I'm a little sensitive to something," or a parasitic infection. And then I'm going to hop into the next one at the same time. Basophils are the last one. That's your fifth marker. And basophils should be less than 1%. And if they're higher than 1%, we definitely know you have a parasite infection. Well, that doesn't sound fun first thing in the morning. Because they're really complicated sometimes. And they're these living organisms that live in your body and they can live in your intestines, they can live in your stomach, they can live throughout your digestive tract. And this is terrible to tell you, they can live in your sinuses. So if people have chronic sinus infections, often the first thing I'll tell them is don't eat any dairy. If you have any sinus infections, stop eating dairy. That's the first thing. If you still have sinus infections, more than likely you have some parasites that are living in that area. All right, so that magic number that we just talked about is 100. So when you're looking at your blood work, those 5 markers total 100. Sometimes they might be a little off. They might be like 99.7 or 8, because if it's a 0.06, sometimes they don't show that on the rounded up. But they should equal 100. Okay, so we want those numbers to be at 100. Have you learned something? It's kind of fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a couple of little bonus ones. These are red blood cells. I'm not going to go deep into our red blood cells, but I'm going to just tell you what they are, and then I'll give you just a little brief overview. So on every CBC, even if it doesn't have a differential, they'll break down the red blood cells. So you'll see an RBC and HGB. So this is your red blood cell count, your hemoglobin, your hematocrit. So this is all just part of your red blood cells. So you will see all 7 of these on your, and then you'll see platelets as well sometimes. So you will see all 7 or 8 of those on your blood work. Interestingly enough, our body needs red blood cells to carry oxygen and throughout our entire okay, third time's a charm. Red blood cells are vital to carry oxygen to our organs throughout our body. So we definitely need red blood cells. But here's the interesting thing. If any of those markers are low, even one, you need iron. And oftentimes your doctor won't tell you that. If any of them are high, you need B vitamins. You're not methylating your B vitamins. You need some methylation. So people will buy methylated B vitamins, but if those pathways aren't open, you're never, ever going to even absorb the methylated vitamins. So you need to make sure that you work with somebody who can get those pathways open. Again, it's a really super easy thing to do. And we need that oxygen running through our body. You might have heard of the MTHFR gene. That's a big thing going around. You can see it, like I see a lot of it on Facebook, probably because I'm in the wellness industry. But if you ever see that, it's very common. I work with genetics and epigenetics as well. It is a gene that about 33% of us have. I do have it. And I'm one of those people that don't methylate I don't have great methylation. That's all it means. And there's ways that you can, there's easy supplements that we can advise you to take that will open up those pathways. Let's see, I think there's something in the chat. What is the gene? It's the MTHFR gene. All right, let's talk about my favorite subject, vitamin D. Every single cell in your body needs vitamin D. Vitamin D is essential to your immune system. It's essential to helping balance out your hormones. Did you hear that, ladies? Your hormones. It's essential to your overall well-being and how you feel on a daily basis. If somebody comes to me and says, I'm not feeling well, I can look at all your red blood cells, your white blood cells. I can look at your lipid panels. I can look at your metabolic panels. I can look at and the very first thing I look at is to see if they have checked your vitamin D. Now the scale, I don't know if I have this on the slide. So I'm just going to talk about it. So the scale for vitamin D is by far the most ridiculous scale in the medical field. They will tell you if your vitamin D is between 32 and 100, that it is in the normal range. I can guarantee 250% if your vitamin D is not 80 to 100 to 110, you are not at your optimal best. Okay? Every cell in your body needs vitamin D to run. It's almost like the gasoline that fuels your body. Can we get vitamin D from the sun? Sure. We were meant to get vitamin D from the sun. But what's the first thing we do when we go outside these days? We put on sunscreen, right? Nobody wants to get sunburned. We're always told about the UV rays, blah, 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 all the stuff, right? You should go outside and sit in the sun for about 10 minutes twice a day if you can, without sunscreen. You need to literally go out and just like, thank you, take in that sunshine. Let that sunshine give you a hug. Even if you do that, more than likely your D levels are low. I have seen 2 people in the last 4.5 years with vitamin D over 70. Both of them were extremely healthy people. Extremely healthy. You know, that person that never gets a cold, that person who never gets the flu, who always is bouncing off the walls. We all know that one person.
Me.
Who said that? Mo? No? I don't know who said me. So vitamin D is probably or age prematurely, but just on my face. That is me, but I'm muted. So, but vitamin D is probably one of the most important things we get in our body. And it is the most misdiagnosed thing on your blood work. So let's see what's on my scale. Oh, there we go. See, I have 80 to 100%. I haven't used this PowerPoint in a long time. I can just talk about it without the PowerPoint, but I know visuals are good for you guys. All right. So people will ask me, what are the most important labs that they should get? Ladies, write this down. You should have all of these done probably once a year. So, or take a picture. That was great. I saw Victoria taking a picture. CBC with differential. It will give you those white blood markers. A metabolic panel. A lipid panel. An iron panel. A thyroid panel. HSCRP. That will tell us if you have any inflammation in your body. Blood glucose, hemoglobin A1C, and vitamin D. So I'm just going to talk about blood glucose and A1C for just a minute. Our numbers of diabetes in this country are insane right now, and they're just getting worse and worse and worse. And so it is 1 in 10 people in the United States are diagnosed with diabetes. 1 in 10. So that means everybody on this panel knows at least one person, if not many people that have diabetes. 1 in 3 people, this number is even more staggering to me. And these are just their numbers. This isn't necessarily the whole truth, right? 1 in 3 people are pre-diabetic. And of those 1 in 3 people, 80% of them don't know it. They don't get their blood work done. They don't go to the doctor. The doctor doesn't tell them. They have no idea what prediabetes is. Diabetes is the number 8 killer in the United States, and it's rising every year. I believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, it'll probably be number 5, right behind cancer, because the numbers are so prevalent. We are seeing more and more and more children with prediabetes under the age of 10. Under the age of 10. So those are some scary numbers to me. How much does all of this blood work cost? This is, if I was to run your blood work without insurance, it's actually under $300. It's about $260. So when your doctors tell you they can't run a CBC with differential because your insurance won't cover it, say, great, I'll be happy to pay for that test myself. Or you guys call me and I will give you cost on that. My cost on this test, are you ready? Is $5. Insurance charges $32. Gets billed $32. So for most insurance companies, a differential, they charge $34. It's a $2 difference. So don't let them, you be your advocate and you tell them, I want a CBC with differential. Oftentimes, if you go to a GP, they won't run, they'll do a CBC with differential. These are the normal ones they'll run. A metabolic panel, they'll do a lipid panel. Sometimes, if you're lucky, they'll do an iron panel. They normally will not do a full thyroid panel if you're not feeling well. They might run what we call TSH, but they don't necessarily check the thyroid, the whole thyroid panel. HSCRP, rarely will they check it unless you have heart disease. and blood glucose and A1C, they'll run these bottom three 50-50 chance. So ask. Okay, definitely want to ask. All right, so I just want to say thank you for having me today. I really appreciate that. I know we're going to do some questions. I do have a little gift for you. I have a guide of 5 steps to healing using your own blood work. And you can go to this website, HTTPS, you need to put that in, / cellhealthcoach.com / gift. And it will give you this guide to 5 steps of healing using your own blood work. There's also a spot in there. Usually I do this presentation as a webinar. If you want to have I do free 30-minute consultations. If you want to have a consultation with me, if you want me to look at your blood work, I can look at any blood work that you've had done in the last 5 years. I tell people, if you want me to do that, there is a space in there. I just want you guys to have this guide. If you do want to show me your blood work, I'll be happy to go over it with you. And you can fill out that form. Okay. All right. So let me stop sharing and then you guys can answer any questions. And here's what's funny. I told you I'm not usually up and dressed at 7. My alarm just went off. At 7:35 is what time my alarm is set for every day.
Nicole, that was amazing. It has a lot of this foreign terminology that I don't normally, like you said, we
Sure.
don't at the Women's Coffee Club, we normally don't talk about A1C or whatever it is.
Hey,
A
Rena,
lot of
how's your
stuff,
lymphocytes doing today?
a lot of terminology that I need to learn. But it's really, really interesting because when I look at the blood work, like I said before, I just look what the normal range is. They normally tell you, okay, this is normal and that's it. I have no idea about all these stuff and if it's complete or not complete. But thank you so much for this presentation. It's amazing. So
Oh,
with that, Mo, go ahead.
yes, let me echo that. That was awesome, Nicole. Because I am a health and wellness coach and nutrition coach, I don't have the science. So, but I had a client she's 0.1 from pre-diabetic, so she's super excited about that. We've been working on getting her levels down. She's off medication, so it's amazing. But she sent me her blood work, and I only know like a few things for now because like now that it's like okay, now I'm gonna be looking for all these things in there. When you talked about Epstein-Barr and mononucleosis, as I mentioned, I was the girl kissing all the boys. But I got mono. I heard something about Epstein-Barr being like a lot of people have Epstein-Barr and they don't even know they have it. Like they've had it. Like it's
Yeah,
very, very common.
it's more common than you think, and it's often misdiagnosed.
Right. So I have multiple sclerosis, and read or heard a study that people with multiple sclerosis, like 95% of people with multiple sclerosis had mononucleosis.
Mhm.
But not the reverse. That doesn't mean if you have mono, you're going to get MS. So it's
Right.
not like one or the other. But so what? I mean, so I live a very healthy lifestyle. I work on my mental, physical, and spiritual health daily. And people don't believe that I have MS. And honestly, sometimes I don't believe it either. I'm like, no, there's
It's a
a
good thing.
reason.
We
Right?
don't want to own it. I think that's a big thing that you're saying, Mo, is I'm going to get, so people get so tied into I have or I am,
Yeah.
right? So oftentimes, and this is very prevalent with people who have fibromyalgia. I
Mm.
have fibromyalgia. You will
Yeah.
hear it. I have, like I am owning it. I am
Body it.
fibromyalgia, almost to
Yeah.
their core. People who
Yeah.
have fibromyalgia will fight to the death that they have fibromyalgia. And there's no other disease out there that people fight for as much as fibromyalgia. Now, I have a background in NLP and hypnosis. And so for me, I'm like, oh boy, this is the first problem that we have. And I understand how they get there because they're going to these doctors
Hmm.
and they don't fall into any autoimmune category, right?
Yes.
And so people with fibromyalgia are often misdiagnosed. They have nerve pain, they have different sensations, they have this, they have that, they have whatever. Fibromyalgia to me is the most made up word. And it is a made up diagnosis. They literally had to put a medical code for people who had this diagnosis. So they gave it a name. And that was only less than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, that fibromyalgia came to play. So when I was going through my own journey, first they said, oh, you're kind of crazy. You need some Zoloft because you're exhausted. The next thing they said is, oh, you have chronic fatigue syndrome. That was a big thing back in the 90s, chronic fatigue syndrome. So I went from going, oh, well, you might have had some Epstein-Barr, but you need some Zoloft because you're tired. You're just crazy because you're a mom. And the next thing they said was, oh, you have chronic fatigue syndrome. What the heck is that? No, I had Epstein-Barr. I was tired. I was fighting a virus and didn't know what that was. And then the next thing, of course, they said is, oh, well, you're showing signs of fibromyalgia. Well, here's the thing. Years later, when I finally really learned how to read my blood work, I've always had autoimmune symptoms, autoimmune things run in my family. So I've always, I was actually in a coma from having mold exposure. And that's what triggered my autoimmune, right? So there's always a trigger to health. And so for all these years, I battled like these symptoms. I couldn't figure out what it was. When I learned this new scale of blood work, I was like, I knew I had something wrong with my thyroid. For years, I kept telling the doctor, would you test my thyroid? He'd say, oh, your TSH is normal. Your TSH is normal. Well, your TSH doesn't test your thyroid, ladies. So that is another marker that women get tested a lot is a TSH. And so your TSH actually tests how your pituitary is communicating with your thyroid. So your pituitary, if you don't know, if you went like this, and where those two fingers meet, that's where your pituitary gland is. And it will cause hormone havoc. So my pituitary was doing what it needed to do, but my thyroid was bouncing all over the place in the functional medicine world. So I knew, oh, see, I wasn't crazy and I didn't need that Zoloft 30 years ago. And so now that I have the real answers, I can manage that through nutrition and supplements and I haven't had a problem. I've had one flare up, and that was recently in the last 3.5 years. And it's only because I had extreme stress that happened. And of course, stress will trigger. So with you not showing that you have MS, that's beautiful because obviously you're taking great care of yourself. But the fact that you had Epstein-Barr, if I looked at your blood work, I could probably see that you had that infection. Today, and it's an easy 30-day fix, literally. It's a 30-day, under $100 fix. That's how crazy it is to get rid of
I don't know if I've had Epstein-Barr, but I definitely had mononucleosis like I was.
Mono.
Down
with
and
that.
out.
So if you have any blood work in the last 5 years, just book an appointment with me. I'll look at it. And like I said, it's about $100 fix, ladies, to get rid of an underlying infection. And what's interesting is those infections are what trigger the MS. It's what trigger those autoimmune. What triggers blood sugar spikes. What triggers high cholesterol. There's so much that marker does that it triggers a lot of these health issues.
Awesome. Wow. That's amazing. Do you do health groups, talk to health groups? Because I'd love to bring you into my group because I'm having speakers every month now. So you'd be amazing because a lot of women have these things that we're talking about. So that'd be awesome.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'd love to. All right, Joey. I see your hand up.
Hi, good evening. Well, good evening from here.
Okay.
Anyway, this is a very interesting topic because just recently, and I'm a person that rarely gets sick. Like really, I don't even get vaxxed because I believe in so much in health, in natural health. But anyway, just this, like just a week ago, I had this experience of high blood pressure. So high BP. And it's not normal for me because I've always been low blood, even when I had, during my pregnancies, 5 kids, always low blood. So I know it's abnormal for me to experience that. The last time that I experienced this kind of thing was like 2, 3 years ago. And then I did, of course, since it's abnormal for me, I consulted with the specialists. And like you, I would really ask what's the cause. Like they would just prescribe. And I don't take medicines. I don't even take vitamins because I hate it. I just don't like taking it. But they would just prescribe medicines after medicines, but I would always ask for, give me some tests to see what's really wrong with me, what's the cause, what's the root cause of this, because I really don't want to just take medicines, even if you're the expert. I, didn't mean to be rude, but I just didn't want. And now it's happening again. But well, the last time it happened, I took some medicines, but they were, it just disappeared, right? And then now it's back, and my BP was like 188 over 100 something like that. So really, I'm not really that scared, not really,
How old are
because
you?
I'm 50.
Okay. So
So and I
usually,
went to all these specialists like cardio and then gynecologists, everything, because I really wanted to know the cause. And now it's happening again. And my doctor just recently said maybe thyroid or something. And she asked me to do this exam, FT3. And well, they say it's normal. It's nothing wrong. It's 3.15. The reference range is 4.08.3, nothing wrong with my thyroid. But the thing is, you never asked me to do blood works. And I wanted to know now the blood works. But I did ECG and to the echo, I'm still waiting for the results. So I don't know, what would you recommend that I
so
take?
so they did a free T3 or a free
Yeah,
T4?
pre T3.
Free
F
T3. And what is yours?
3.15.
3.15. All right. So it's on the very low side on my scale. And so that will tell me that that you have some either leaky gut going on, or there's something going on with your liver. So if I saw all of your blood work, I could probably give you a little bit more of a story for you. So book an appointment with me. I'll look at it. I'll tell you what's
Yeah, but
going
the
on.
thing is, I don't even have, they didn't request that I do the blood works, just the FT3. So
That's the
what
only
would
blood
you,
work that they did.
yes, so I would want to know which blood work should I request
So
so that
go
I can
back.
consult
Did
with
you take
you.
a picture of that list that I gave you?
Yes. And I'm
That's
going to
it.
be repeating the recording. I'll be replaying
Okay.
it.
Yeah, that's what you asked for. But make sure that you get you want to ask them for a full thyroid panel.
Okay.
You don't want just your free T3. That is one little tiny piece. But usually if your blood pressure is off, there's usually something going on with your gut. So there's something that you're eating, there's something that's going on, it's usually gut related if your blood pressure is off.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. That was so awesome. I'm going to book an appointment with you. Go ahead, Jane. Thank you, Joey.
Jane.
Well, as hi, everyone, and
morning.
good
Morning.
morning, Nicole. As luck would have it, I was diagnosed, tested positive for COVID 2 days ago. Now,
So
here's the interesting thing. I went all through 2020, 21, and 22, and most of 23. Nothing. Absolutely no COVID. I never got vaccinated. And I contracted it last October. But it was the intestinal version of it. I never got a stuffy head or anything. And now here I am. Of course, I spent a weekend at a dance competition for my granddaughters for 2 days and nights. And so, surprise. But I guess my question to you is like, damn, I went so long without, I evaded, avoided. I didn't get COVID, and I thought I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And damn, and I'm just like, I'm, anyways, any thoughts about that?
You see, I don't know how to speak on this. Can I speak freely on this?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. COVID is a freaking virus. That's it. It's a
Yeah.
virus. What?
Which mean what?
There are viruses out in this world. There are numerous viruses out in this world.
Right.
I'm not saying that people didn't get sick. I'm not saying people didn't die. They were obviously compounded with a virus that they had never been hit with before. If you had any underlying infections, people could get really sick when it first came out. It is now just like getting a flu or a cold. It's a
Right.
virus.
Right.
It will last 4 or 5 days. And I'm so sorry. My daughter just had COVID herself recently. And she has some other health things going on. And I think she got it at the doctor's office because that's the only place she goes right now. And so literally it is just a virus. Don't buy into anything more than it's just a virus. Now,
Right.
there are people who have had long COVID
Sure.
and people with long COVID, we can get to that. We can get rid of that virus. Viruses will stick around in your body. So again, it's a 30-day, sometimes a 60-day fix for people who have had COVID. But it's inexpensive and you can get that underlying infection out of your body. Your immune system, if you got it in October, your immune system was probably a little weaker. You were with a crowd of people. You weren't in Provo, Utah, were you?
No.
Okay. My girlfriend was with her kids in Provo with dancing. So I mean, it's
Dance
all over the
competition.
country.
Yeah, right. No, there's a
Dancing.
real I'm in New York and there's a real spike right now in upstate New York.
Yeah, there's a spike here in California too, but anywhere there's large amounts of people, it's just like getting the flu, right? So just don't buy into the whole I have COVID, right?
I know. You're absolutely right.
You just,
It's
and unfortunately, I'm so sorry you're not feeling well. Just,
yeah,
drink some
lay
bone broth,
low.
water, lay low for a few days.
Yeah.
If you need to take something, take a Tylenol versus ibuprofen. That's a whole different subject for me. I could talk
Oh
about
my
ibuprofen
God, I bet.
for an
I
hour.
bet.
But definitely,
And
just
Nicole,
rest and take care of yourself.
thank you. Two other things I want to mention for the group. First, you mentioned fibromyalgia. I had been going on for years with a great amount of joint and muscle pain. But I'm a keep on keeping on kind of person. And finally, I went to a rheumatologist, and I was really surprised. She was like, "No, we have tested you for everything. You have fibromyalgia." I said, "It's real?" And she said, "It is absolutely real, without a doubt." And it's so there was that because as people would say 10, 20, 30 years ago, it's like, "Oh, she's looking for attention," or, she's making it up, or accent on the she.
It's
And
always
then
on the sheet.
always on the she, right, of course.
Mhm.
And then the other thing was, I thought this was kind of interesting. In my second pregnancy, I had a diabetic pregnancy.
Oh, so
So,
you had, yeah.
right?
So you
And
probably have some insulin resistance going on.
yeah,
And so insulin resistance causes a lot of hormone chaos is what I call it. It's just hormone chaos. Are you pre-diabetic by chance?
no,
Okay,
not,
good. All right.
no, I don't have any
Yeah.
symptoms of that. And I really thought that, and it's just been in the last couple of years that my weight has gone up.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
and
insulin
I
resistance is what you're going through.
insulin resistance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Book an appointment with me. I'll
I
be happy
am.
to look
Oh,
at any stuff.
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you
And
so much.
I will be able to give you so much more information about your fibromyalgia, but more than likely you have some underlying infections that will help quite a bit of that. So,
Wow.
and if it's more than that, if it's beyond that, I can help that too, or I can refer you to somebody who can help.
Beautiful.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you,
This is
Nicole. Thank you,
wonderful.
Jane. Sue, go ahead. I know you're sort of working, so I'm gonna let you go ahead first.
Oh yeah, I was just getting ready for an appointment, but so excuse my frizzy hair. Hey, I just want to thank you so much, Nicole. I get these, like everyone get these blood panels, and one time, and they've been all within the normal range. One time one was a little bit off, and my doctor just poo-pooed it when I asked, why is this? It was just like, oh, you're fine. That's not that far off. It's fine. It's no big deal.
That's what they say. It's not far off. You're okay.
And
Yeah.
it was my white blood count. I can't remember that it was low. And she said, oh, you probably just had a little infection at the time. You're fine. Like, okay. So I just poo-pooed it too. But now I'm going to go back and reread everything. It's all in my chart. So I can go back and reread it now that
Yeah.
I'm armed with knowledge that you
Read
provide.
it. And there's so many other hidden secrets in your, like, I just wrote a post. If you guys follow me on Facebook, just look me up, Nicole Lanni. Make sure it's the one with the little blue dot. So, because there is my old profile that Facebook took away from me, and then suddenly a year later they decided to give it back. I'm not on that at all. So make sure it's just the Nicole Lanni, Lanni with the blue dot. But I wrote a thing about cholesterol the other day, and it just said, if your doctor is only looking at your cholesterol numbers and he's providing a statin, no is a full sentence. Literally.
Why?
This is what they'll look at. They'll look at your cholesterol and say, oh, you need to go on cholesterol medicine. No, you don't. No.
Why?
No. Because cholesterol medicine has more side effects and will cause more. Statins is one of the number one thing that they prescribe. Statins will cause IBS, diarrhea, neuropathy in your hands and your feet. And then they'll treat your neuropathy. I see this so many times. It just gets me infuriated. And here's the crazy thing about statins. There is a percentage of people that they get terrible joint pain when they take statins, and doctors will say, well, this is normal. But there is about 1% of the people who take statins who get, I don't know how to describe this, extreme weakness and pain in their muscles. Now, my ex-husband was one of these people. He actually had a major heart attack. He is very lucky that he lived. Very fortunate that he lived. And so, of course, they put him on the cocktail, which is, there's 5 different things that they'll put you on: statins, high blood pressure medicine. They just put you on all of it. You've had a heart attack, here's your cocktail, is really what it is. And so he started taking the statin, and within 2 days, he couldn't get up and down the stairs, nor could he, by the 3rd day, he couldn't get out of bed.
Wow.
And so the crazy thing is when you look at how many people in America are on statins, that's over 200,000 people that have this reaction to this drug every single year. And they're like, oh, that's okay. We'll just put you on a different statin. No. And a lot of these people end up with neuropathy, and they don't understand why they ended up with neuropathy. And it's the statin that's actually causing the neuropathy.
Oh.
So it's really, statins are probably one of the worst drugs that people can go on. So,
Thank you for
and I
that.
will fight for you if somebody like says that you should be taking a statin. There are so many things you can do naturally. And usually cholesterol only means one of 3 things. Oh, that's a whole different blood panel. Cholesterol means one of 3 things. You ready? I'll give you my 3 hidden gems of cholesterol. Cholesterol means you have high blood sugar, you have inflammation, or you have something going on with your thyroid. Those are the only reasons that your cholesterol will be high. It is not because of you're just eating hamburgers all day long from fast food restaurants. I
Wow.
promise.
Good information.
Mhm.
Thank you for that, Nicole. Victoria.
You got my blood going today. I got excited. Victoria.
I want to go back on the topic of statins. And
Okay.
I've been a massage therapist for 24 years.
Okay.
So I've touched a lot of body's muscle,
Mhm. Of
texture,
course.
Is the muscle hard to palpate? Or,
Yeah.
and what I've noticed when people put on their intake form, because my question is, do you have high blood pressure? Do you have diabetes and all those kind of things? So I know where I'm putting my hands or my feet, because I work also with my feet. And what I've noticed on all the people that take statins, their musculature hardens.
It does. Mhm.
It becomes hard where you cannot palpate it anymore. Well, guess
Yeah.
what? If the muscle is constantly in contraction, never giving up, never relax, well, guess what happened to the nerve?
Mhm.
It
Well,
impairs the nerve
let's
influx.
let's take that a step further.
Yeah.
Your liver, your pancreas, your heart, it's all a muscle.
Yes.
So if it's doing that to your muscle, and if it does, when it does that to your muscles in your arms, your legs, your back, it's doing that same thing to your liver. It's doing the same thing to your heart.
I agree. And that's what, and I thought that it was just a subjective assessment on my part because I'm not a doctor, but it's clockwork. You got statins, your muscle are hard as a granite countertop.
Mhm.
I always tell them,
Exactly.
did you swallow cement this morning? And then they can relate. I said, have you ever touched a kitchen countertop? Touch your kitchen countertop. This is how your muscle feels to me. And I'm sorry to be so blunt, but literally it is.
Yeah.
And so with massage therapy, it helps, the relaxation start the process, but it's not a cure. It's just
No.
a tool to be able to maintain a quality, of lifestyle and well-being. And so, but definitely nutrition, lifestyle, and all that comes into account.
I want to go back to, I'm not anti-doctor, you guys. I'm going to tell you, we need doctors. If my spleen ruptured, I'd be in the emergency room. If I had cancer, well, I wouldn't go to traditional, sorry, wouldn't do that. But I'd go there for testing. But I would not do chemo or radiation ever, ever, ever. If I broke a bone, I'd be at the emergency room. If I was shot, stabbed, I'd go to the emergency room. There are times that we need doctors, right? So I'm not anti-doctor. What I am anti is anti-prescription. And so there are times that we do need a prescription for a very short period of time. I'm not saying that we should never take prescriptions, but I do know that, especially in our country, doctors are script happy. It's very easy. They get 15 minutes usually to see you. The insurance companies are dictating all of this. So they get 15 minutes to see you. That's what they're really allotted, is a 15-minute time slot to see you. So they just basically, what can I do to help with these symptoms? Okay, well, this is what I can do. And so they're really just masking symptoms. They're not really getting down to, why is your body doing this? Most doctors don't take the time anymore to say, why is your body doing this? And unfortunately, it is the insurance companies that's driving this. I work with doctors every single day, and most doctors want out of this cycle. I'm finding out more and more and more that most doctors want out of this cycle. There are a lot of doctors that are going more towards the holistic side of things than I have ever seen in 15 years. Like I said, I'm now teaching blood work to doctors. That's interesting, right? And so they don't know. They only know what they've been taught. They've only been told, and now they're dictated by the insurance companies. And that's even sadder. Most people, doctors used to be a high status of, unless you're a surgeon, you're not making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. If you're a surgeon, anesthesiologist, if you're in that surgery room, you're making some good money. Most GPs are lucky if they make $150,000 a year. That's insane, because that's what the insurance companies are dictating. Why would you take $150,000 a year job when you have $500,000 in student loans? It just doesn't even make sense anymore. So there are more and more doctors that want out. So a lot of them do care. They just are mandated to do other things.
Thank you.
And that's unfortunate.
Yes. Hang on, Victoria. I just want to say we're after 8 o'clock. So if anybody need to leave, feel free to do so. Before I go to you, I'm gonna let Carol just to give everybody a chance, and then I'll come back to you. Go ahead, Carol.
That was an outstanding presentation, Nicole. I really, really, really appreciated the all of the information and advice. So I'm actually the one that said me when I didn't want to interrupt the presentation, and I didn't want the spotlight on me at the time. But yeah, so I never get sick. However, I do have food allergies, gluten and dairy. And I also know that I have an infection, oral infection there that the dentist has been trying to fight. And I'm using Periogel. Have you heard of that?
I have. So usually oral infections, believe it or not, CBD topically does taste terrible, but CBD will actually help. It's very anti-inflammatory, very, oh my gosh, it's almost like a natural antibiotic. I would start using on your tooth almost immediately. If you need help with that, I can help you with that. But if you have an underlying infection, it will show up in your blood work. So if you have any blood work, just book an appointment with me. Go to that thing, book an appointment with me. I'll be happy to look. And if you have food sensitivities, you have something going on with your gut. You might have some leaky gut issues going on. Leaky gut is when you have junctions in your gut and they're just opening up and some things are leaking into your bloodstream. And so usually that can be, I can help you with that.
Okay, that's great, because I do worry about, going back to the oral thing, I do worry about the long-term effects, because according to the dentist or the hygienist, the only thing to do is just use the Periogel every day, morning and night. So I worry about the long-term effects of that.
With teeth, I always recommend, I'll tell you, I always recommend CBD, which I always give clients. I have a CBD website from my old store, but I always give a discount on that with people with oral issues. And then I'm usually going through a viral protocol, 30-day protocol, sometimes 60, will take care of that infection. So you want to get that out of your mouth as soon as possible.
Yes. Okay. One more thing. I also would like to invite you to an event, because I do wellness events. I do wellness retreats, and I'd like to invite you to present.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I saw your email in there. I'll send you a little email.
Okay, great.
I'll go to Omeka and then Lachelle, and then I go back to you, Victoria. Go ahead, Omeka. Good morning. You're in Las Vegas.
I know. Actually, I'm in California. I'm in Long Beach. I'm about to go back to Vegas today. But yeah, I'm visiting my old friend and her daughter. So yeah, I'm not gonna say much because I didn't hear most of it, but I do want to listen to the repeat. But I came in on, you were talking about mold, and me and my friend were just talking about mold, like, I don't know, 10 minutes before you. And yeah, it's concerning because I was living in my mom's basement, and like a gallon of water is coming out of the dehumidifier. I moved upstairs like a couple of months ago, but it's pretty moldy down there. And I don't see it like on the walls or anything, but like my clothes or my shoes, it's pretty prevalent. But anyway, so and yeah, I'm just interested in the autoimmune everything, and just concerning me and my mother and whoever else. But yeah, I like push certain things aside, and it's just about what you eat, food, but it's not. So thank you for presenting, and looking forward to the replay. Thank you all.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Omeka. Lachelle.
Well, I just want to thank Nicole for coming. I've seen this presentation. This is my third time, and I actually did an appointment with Nicole, and I thank her and I think of her every day as I take my vitamin D. And I know I need to get some new blood work. So it opened my mind up in a way. And that was why I thought she would be a great person to have come talk to the group, because it kind of opens things up. And I'm all about natural health. And my dad was a doctor. And so I have seen the insurance side, I've seen the other stuff. So thank you so much, Nicole, for giving your time and coming and visiting us today.
Oh, I'm so glad that you invited me. And like I said, I've been trying to get on. I think Mo did a presentation last week, and I was like, I really needed to, I really wanted to listen last week. And I was like, I'm telling you gals, this is a miracle that you got me up. But I'm up and I'm dressed and I'm like, I can do this every week. I love you. Your energy is so great. So thank you so much, Lachelle, for inviting me. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank you, Lachelle, for introducing Nicole to this group. Really appreciate it. Yeah, this is such a great presentation. Go ahead, Victoria.
Yes, again, thank you, Nicole. This was outstanding for sure. I even learned some more things, so that's great. High blood pressure. I never had high blood pressure. It runs in my family on both sides, but I never had high blood pressure. And then in 2008, I got into an accident, broke my arms very, very severely, which put me out of commission of massage therapy for a year, lost my house, went bankrupt. You name it, lots of stress. But nevertheless, before this escalade of things happen, right out of surgery, when the monitor for my high blood pressure was there, I was like close to a stroke, and I didn't even feel anything. But so since then, since this surgery, I got into and I was in my 40s, I got into this high blood pressure range. I did blood work all the time, like on a yearly basis, to just medical checkup, and everything is fine. But there's this high blood pressure indicator, and I'm like, what's going on? Stress. And I see it again. I've been taking a very low dose of, it's not statins, but it's something that regulates my blood pressure as well. So, but what I'm noticing, even with the medication, it was still into the 130, 90 type. So it's still elevated, and they call it hypertension. And I quit my job, my 50 hours a week job, which every day was like nonstop, go, 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 nonstop. My blood pressure dropped 10 points. So I so believe that lifestyle, how we are in our head, how we are in our hearts, kind of dictate also the numbers.
Well, stress definitely, stress will definitely bring any numbers up. Definitely. And usually blood pressure starts with your gut. So something's going on in your gut that needs to be balanced out. So your blood pressure
I know what
comes
it is.
down.
I'm a little sweet tooth sometimes.
So something's going on that would cause your blood pressure to go up, and the stress just makes it worse. So but yeah, if you get your gut balanced out, I can have a conversation with you. Get your gut balanced out, your blood pressure will come down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're
Thank you for your question. This has been an amazing presentation. I will definitely make an appointment with you, Nicole, and show you my blood work and have you help me with that. But it's 8:13, so we need to close. Thank you again, not just Nicole, but all of you for your participation and contribution. Next week, we'll have Tamara presenting. Lachelle and I will be in Las Vegas and Omega. Yeah, the topic is how to fix your broken marriage without counseling. So that's her topic, and Victoria will be hosting the call. But yeah, thank you again, everyone. This has been an amazing presentation. Nicole, I'm gonna turn it over to you to close this meeting up.
Thank you so much for having me. It was just such a pleasure. Like I said, all your energy is like fantastic. So I love that. I love this group this morning. I'm here for questions. My schedule does get a little booked up. So if you don't see a time, just go into the next week. I'm beginning to sound like a doctor. You have to book 3 weeks out. But I will answer any questions for you. you know, you can always reach me on Facebook Messenger as well. Sometimes that's easier just to send me a little message and I can find a time to fit you in. I'm just teaching 3 days a week right now, so it changes my schedule up a little bit. So if you don't see a time that works for you to grab on, just send me a message in Messenger and just take care of yourselves, you guys. It is all about lifestyle, you know, everything in moderation. If you're not feeling well, there's reasons. Your body does speak to you. So listen to your body, and just learn what your body is saying. I think that's the biggest key is what is the story your body is telling you. So you don't always have to buy into the whole story, obviously, and believe everything, you know, but it can be manipulative at times, just like a child. But definitely listen to your body. And when something's not feeling off, know that you are your best advocate and you know when you feel good and you know when you don't feel good. So thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Thank you again, and have a great week. Have a great weekend, and see you guys next week. Bye, all.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Nicole.
you.
Take care. All right. Peace.